Well, yeah, we're going to start off on that note, looking at the Anambra election, the preparations that have been put in, the meeting is being held. So where are we in this scheme of things? Two gentlemen joining us to weigh in on that matter. We've got Ralph Nwosu, who is the chairman for African Democratic Congress, ADC, as well as Senator Victor Ome, former national chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Let me start with you, Mr. Nwosu. Give us your impression. Yes, we've seen several meetings being held by INEC, security agencies, with officials of political parties. So, as it stands now, what do you think in terms of the preparations that have been put in place by all to ensure that the elections go smoothly this Saturday?
Thank you very much. So far, the political parties are ready in as much as the environment was in dissonance. But then the political parties are ready. I think from what we hear from INEC, they equally say that they are ready. But the climate is very toxic, and which is unfortunate. But generally, I would say we are ready. But what is happening around is just not comforting. Yesterday we were out. It takes almost 3 hours to move a distance of about to move from Oka to Onitsha will take you about 3 hours plus. And so because there are police, military people, and so on everywhere. And they're not helping the situation either, because they spend so much time to hold the traffic, and movement is just chaos.
What informs this toxicity which you speak about?
Yeah, the toxicities mainly from the kind of I think here in Anambra State we have APC, we have PDP, and we have APGA, and these are political parties that feel they must win this election, either by hook or by crook.
You're counting ADC out?
Yeah, I mean, ADC is the #1 party in Nigeria that has always been transformation-driven and want the best. Some of us have been sacrificing to have the best of democracy in the country. But these parties are just driving the system. Meanwhile, we have a government in place. The government we have in place is APGA and APC and PDP to a good extent, because they share the parliament and so on. They cannot keep the country. They cannot keep the country in peace. And at the same time, they're struggling, trying to bring all kind of chaos into the system, because they want to continue the control. Meanwhile, Anambra is like on lead everywhere.
So when you then say that
they have taken the toxicity within their party into the general space, and this confounding. I mean, people talk about IPOB and so on and so forth. That's not the issue. Even there are influences on some of these cult groups, not IPOB, the cult groups that are in the state.
Well, so what is the issue for you that when you talk about security? Is it that they're using the IPOB matter as a facade? Do you think it's called groups that are actually the issue?
I can infer that, I cannot prove that, but a lot of the information we get that these three parties have their own munition everywhere, and it's so scary. We have guns in every street in Anambra State. How did all of these guns filter in? You know, then you ask people in charge of the government, which they're still working so hard to control. Meanwhile, they have lost control.
All right, let me bring in, let me bring in Senator. I mean, he is of the party you say have lost control and they're still trying to continue on keeping the seat. Senator Ome, well, you heard the chairman of ADC there saying your party is part of the party fueling the toxic environment in the state, and you've lost control of the state, and they don't understand why your party still want to hold on to that seat in the manner which he thinks is a sit-tight approach.
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. I think it's very unfortunate that my friend, Frafso Kemosu, will make this kind of sweeping general statements. I understand his situation. His party is one of the small parties contesting this election. And if you looked at the run-up to this election to this stage, including the debates organized by Arise Television News, only 3 parties were invited, ABGA, APC, and PDP. His party was not invited because of their low presence in the states. If he says that there are 3 parties that are creating toxic environment in Anambra State, it is simply because ABGA is the dominant party in the states. ABGA is the ruling party in the states. So it is expected that the party will have overwhelming presence in the states in this election by virtue of it being in power for 15 years and 7 months now. As to the situation on ground, my brother failed to capture and relate to you the feelings of the people of Anambra State. The government, federal government promised total policing of the states. In other words, promised that security agencies will dominate the state to ensure that nobody is molested ahead of this election, to ensure that nobody is harassed by anybody. In other words, they said they are going to guarantee a credible and free and fair poll where citizens will be allowed to vote for any candidate of their choice. Yes, as at yesterday, a lot of policemen have moved into the states. We see them being deployed across the states. So true to that promise, the security agencies are on ground in large numbers. And that is helping to give people confidence that there will be no harassment on the day of election. But for me and our party, we believe that the critical thing is what the security agencies will do on the day of election. If they will be neutral, if they will be even-handed in dealing with these things. As at now, focus is shifting to the Independent National Electoral Commission, whether true to their promises that they are guaranteeing a credible, free, and fair process where no political party will be added. In line with this apprehension, the Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC, Anambra State Chapter, addressed a press conference 2 days ago, where it raised an alarm that a certain political party is making it known to everybody that whether we like it or not, on Saturday, their candidates will be declared winner by Sunday morning. That nobody has anything to do to stop it. I think that is a palpable fear that is gripping the citizens of Anambra State now. Whether that governor that will be elected on Saturday will emerge through a credible, free, and fair process, electoral process, So it is INEC that people are looking at now, not more on the security agencies.
Yeah, but Senator Ome, I mean, your party, your candidates, you have also said you are going to win that election. Yep,
Yeah,
at
because,
different campaigns, you've said the same thing, but in a different way.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with a political party saying, based on the followership it enjoys, based on the performance of the party that is in government in the states in the past 15 and a half years, there's nothing wrong with a political party that has delivered handsomely to the people of Anambra State to project victory for itself through a credible, free and fair process. He said that we are desperate. No, that is the wrong way to talk. ABGA is not a desperate party. We have a culture, we have character, and over the years, we have been here. We have always been advocating free and fair poll. So our projection is hinged on the support we enjoy from the people of Anambra State. And
at the moment, is there any...
Is not anywhere say that it will win.
Is there any indication whatsoever on ground at the moment by the security agencies to warrant any fear or any doubt that the elections will not be conducted credibly?
Well, the security agencies, like I said, are just being deployed. They're coming in. We cannot, at present, say what their mission will be on Saturday. We will be here to be analyzing events across the state on Saturday. The conduct of the security operatives, we will be able to determine whether they are here to protect the election so that nobody will do anything that will mar the election. So they're just arriving. So it's like somebody carrying a bag. You don't know what is in his bag until he opens the bag. So it's only on Saturday that we begin, even on Friday, when people begin to move, when electoral materials begin to be moved to where they should be, that we begin to see them. I've been part of elections for 20 years, Chamberlain, and you see, the construction in the face might be different from what is in the mind. When you begin to implement your actions or what you have come to do, we'll be able to assess them.
Okay.
For now, what I can say is that they're here in good number. If they're in good number and are determined to guarantee credible election, yes, we have people, enough security men to make it peaceful.
Okay, let's examine some of the other components or factors that are supposed to be key to these elections. Let me bring in Mr. Nwosu on this one. INEC has said that they have distributed, permanent voter cards for newly registered people, voters, and so they're supposed to go there and pick them up. They've delivered it to the various local governments. So what is your impression about that particular position of INEC? Is all going well concerning collection of the permanent voter cards by the newly registered voters?
We have a serious issue about that. A lot of our people have been going out to try to collect their cards, especially the youths, people who just turned 18. Because our party has been peopled by a sort kind of young persons, and they're encountering problems. I want to correct one thing. If institutions, if governments decide to collaborate with some corporate organizations to disenfranchise others, that doesn't mean that that's the will of the people. I wish we can conduct a poll today to ask Anambra youths, Anambra women, which are the parties that should be in that debate. What Arise did is completely wrong. So if these big organizations feel that they can use government money to sideline others, that doesn't show their popularity. The voting will soon start, and it will show. All the youths have identified with ADC. The Arise, as a matter of fact, a lot of political parties and a lot of the candidates are saying that they will sue Arise because they want to compromise what is happening on ground, and that is wrong. I think organizations, corporations should be very, very careful. Having said that,
well, Mr. Nwosu, concerning that, I mean, people can choose whatever yardstick that they want to use in conducting whatever they want to conduct. So I think there's been a situation, a position of the law on that as well. So it doesn't stop your party from going out there to campaign and get the vote of the people, unless you're saying that you're already down and out.
No, what I said is that when organizations choose, they what that means is that they're trying to predict the outcome before we had an outcome. But that's
not necessarily the case, Mr. Owusu. So let's just leave that aside because we don't know the yardstick that they used in doing that. So let's move on that.
Now, as for the security on ground, I want Victor, my friend and brother, go to any mortuary in Anambra State. All the mortuaries are overfilled because on daily basis, young people invite me. I'm a national chairman of a political party, and I'm the patron of most youth organizations in Anambra State. And as a matter of fact, across Nigeria now, because all the youths have adopted ADC. On daily basis, over 10, 20 young people are dropped at any of the mortuaries in Anambra State.
Do you see this happening yourself? Have you seen this happen?
I have been. I was in two of the mortuaries in Anambra State yesterday, and they're overfilled. You have a TV crew while you're covering the political activities. It may be good for you to actually go there and see some of these things and let Nigerians know what is happening. It's not right.
All right, well,
however,
it's a serious allegation you're making, but since the records are there, I'm sure that they will always go there and check.
I said I went to the to two mortuaries and I saw. And
but you said all. Is it only two that there are in the capital, in the state?
I said I've been to two. Some of our youth leaders have also been to others. That's the report we have. We have crisis in Anambra State. Meanwhile, we have a government in place. We have governments in place. They have lost control. If you've lost control, what is there to be bragging about? You lost control.
Well, Senator Ome, these are very serious allegations he's making there about the bodies, as it were. But when he says you've lost control, citing those, can you validate or invalidate that?
Chamberlain, I think it is more crucial at this stage to focus on the election that's coming on Saturday, the preparations and how that election will be conducted. This distraction that Chief Moses is introducing is not necessary. Corpses are in the mortuaries not because of the election. People have had the tendency, including his own community, when people die, they won't bury the corpses, they go and put them in the mortuaries. The corpses that you find in the mortuaries as the result of the political situation or the killings going on in recent time cannot be up to 30 overall. And if the mortuaries are filled to the brim everywhere, it's because they're not burying dead bodies. People carry corpses and go and put in the mortuaries and sometimes leave them for over a year. And we've been canvassing this, that we should not be keeping corpses in the mortuaries. I have a friend who is called Ogirisibo. He's been doing this campaign, Chivromye Zomuka. Don't put corpses in the mortuaries. Go and bury them. Even though we are Christians, there's no reason why we should keep corpses beyond 1 week or two, in the mortuary. Because we are Christians, we are permitted to bury somebody not immediately like Muslims as soon as the person dies. So the incidence of corpses being in the mortuaries is a practice which is abhorrible. We've been canvassing that people should go and bury the dead. So their ghosts should not be haunting us everywhere in the state. That is it. It has nothing to do with government. The government does not tell you where to put your beloved dead person. Government cannot do it. We've made a law too that people should bury we've made a law too, our government has made a law to prevent extravagant burials. You see the case of one of our brothers, Kubana, who buried his mother recently. The EFCC, they're now hunting him. These are things we have articulated and put in a law. Stop wasting money in burying dead bodies. If somebody dies, you carry the person, give the person a decent burial, and there it goes. Control even in the entertainment and all that. These things are in the law, Anambra state law. So I think what is more important today is what are we going to get on Saturday at the poll? Any claim anybody is making that his party will be favored by the electorate, you leave it to the electorate to decide. We don't need to bandy our weight or the youths endorsing you and all that. That is what is happening across board. But
all right, Senator.
What we are saying is on Saturday, let the people freely, without molestation, without manipulation of the process by anybody, vote for that. That's what it is. And we should rather concentrate on things that will impinge on that credible conduct of that election. That's why I'm here. So,
okay, let me bring in my colleagues. They've got some questions for you as well, Senator.
A moment, please, Mr. Chamberlain. Alliance ADC, African Democratic Congress, is one of the parties. And the party is a member of Inter-Party Advisory Council. If Anambra State chapter of IPAC can hold a press conference, world press conference here in Oka, and raised alarm over the plot by a certain political party to rig the election. His chairman was in that meeting, in that press conference.
Did they show any evidence to that effect?
Raised by ALAC.
Did they show any evidence to that effect?
You know, evidence you are talking about is when they say that from what they gathered as credible intelligence, they're putting a neck on alert.
Yeah, but Senator, we know these are.
I'm coming to tell
but Senator, you're all politicians. You say these things and do these things on a regular basis. That you will win the elections. So
no, let us wait. Let us have recourse to antecedents. You know, you have to check what people who are contesting this election have done in the past. And I'm telling you that the IPAC, after looking at this thing, is pointing at a certain political party because of the antecedents of their candidates. A candidate that has contested election in the past in 2007 and stopped people from voting, and he was declared winner with more than the number of registered voters.
Well, Senator, we're talking about today, you know, this recent time. But let me bring in my colleagues. They've got questions for you as well.
There was no primary in his party. And he polled almost...
You also talk about some of the preparations. Let's focus on the preparations, as you said yourself, Senator. Ayo's got some questions on you, Marco. Ayo, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I'd like to begin with Mr. Nwosu. Earlier, in response to some of the questions Chamberlain asked you, you said that there are guns on the streets all over the place in Anambra State. Is this something you can validate with proof? And have you reported this to the authorities, the police especially, in order to forestall breakdown of law and order? This is for Mr. Nwosu, please. Sarah Nwosu.
Your media correspondence in Anambra State. It's a common knowledge. Now in Anambra State...
No, I'm asking if you, as an interested party, I'm asking if you, as an interested party, have reported this to the police, if they are not doing anything about it.
The police has... you ask the police, they will confirm that to you. I don't think it's anything that anybody in Anambra is not aware of. But then, you know, I talked about the toxicity happening. You see how it happened before the primaries within these three parties. That's what they've transported into the bigger ecosystem now. ADC conducted their primaries without any incident, but up to today, APC, PDP, APGA are still in court. They've been fighting internal war. They've taken the internal war into the ecosystem, and they're causing problems and so on. Then I am aware, I have heard that a particular party have said that they've written results, but I don't even I don't want to dwell on the speculation, because the people will definitely stop them, except if INEC decide to compromise this election, which I don't expect them to.
All right, Mr. Wosu, just one second.
That,
I mean, let me take this to Senator Ume. Well, you have heard him, you've heard Mr. Wosu make these allegations, and one wonders how significant, if you agree with him, is that concern, especially in the light of election security? Because if there are guns on the streets and there are no security officials to tackle the people who are carrying guns illegally, there definitely is cause for concern. How significant a threat do you think that is, especially with security men all over the place in Anambra?
I think he is misleading the public. Anambra State had been very safe and secure until about a few weeks to this election, that we saw the upsurge in violence everywhere. And it is expected that when such situations arise, then action should be taken to stem it on the tide. And government has done the right thing by deploying 34,587 policemen, 20,000 Nigerian security and civil defense people, and then about 4,000 soldiers. I don't know the number of guns he's referring to. These pockets of sponsored political killings we have talked about will not give him the reason to generalize in this poor manner. I think what is important for this election is for us to concentrate on the alarm raised by IPAC. IPAC is a recognized body by INEC and the law. If they hold a press conference, my brother, Channels Television covered their press conference. They made a number of allegations and made demands to ensure that there's a credible election. Nobody is saying that these things have happened conclusively, but people are monitoring movements of others and their opponents. And when you collect credible intelligence, you raise an alarm to put the INEC on alert, put the security agencies on alert, so that on Saturday, that thing all of us are yearning for, which is a credible election, should take place. We don't want to begin to judge by claims made by people. IPAC made these demands. Number one, that the names and photographs of all the collation officers and return officers that work on Saturday should be made available to political parties, all political parties, so that you know the identities of those who are coming to work. Because what the part of the alarm they raised was that INEC may be colluding with one of those parties. And when they bring people you don't know, on election day, let me tell you, by evening time, it becomes a problem. You don't know who is moving around, who is the commission officer, who is the returning officer, because they don't come during voting. And they are saying that these people have mapped out 92 electoral wards where they will manipulate the election. We don't want that to happen. Polling booths in Imo State in 2019, where there were no election, no results. Suddenly results came out and eventually determined who won the election. We don't want it in Anambra State. Let us know the identity of everybody so that we'll be able to monitor. We are ready. We have our men everywhere. Let us follow these people and know who they are. So that when you are bringing returns, when collection starts late in the night or early morning, you will sure that these are the people who worked on the election day who are coming to do this work. No, not when everything will be shrouded in secrecy. You don't know who is a collation officer. You don't know who is a return officer at any level. Then suddenly you start flying in figures from anywhere. And what the security agencies will do at that moment will be to keep everybody quiet, don't make noise. And they start throwing in figures. At the end, somebody will be declared winner without the votes of the people. We don't want it to happen. So the alarm raised by
Senator Ome, I believe that INEC, appreciates your concerns, and let's see how things eventually pan out on Saturday. However, there were questions as to whether or not the elections will be issues-based, if issues will determine the choice of the people, what are the issues that are on the front burner for the people of Anambra State? Some parties have argued that, Anambra is not at the center of things, and that's the reason why it seems to suffer some neglect. Others say, there are other agitations that bother the mind of the people of Anambra State, but security seems to have overshadowed everything. So I don't know what is the most paramount thing for your party if your party's candidate gets elected to office.
Well, issues will always determine the election, who wins the election. And what is important is that the people who have been spoken to, who have you have canvassed their votes with those issues, you should allow them to agree or disagree with you. Anambra people are sophisticated people, where even the village woman there is knowledgeable enough to know what she wants, So it's not by coming to television and make claims, we are here. The people know who they want. Our people are intelligent enough to decide what they've been told.
Senator Ome, you are not really answering the question. The question is, what are the issues, as far as your party is concerned, that should determine this election? Because one of the issues that you have also raised is that of security. And you said just a little while ago that there were no security challenges in Anambra except a few weeks ago. Your party has been in government even at that time. How come, the party is not, the government of the day is not able to get ahead of the issue? So if that is an issue as far as you're concerned and your party is in government, why should the people of Anambra State vote for you again?
That's a claim. You're listening to politicians. People of Anambra State are in a position to assess what ABGA has done in the past years. And you allow them to use what they think ABGA has done to put vote for them or say no. We have served them, we have campaigned. We have reeled out all the great things we have done. This is a security issue you're talking about. If not for ABGA, this state would have collapsed about 7 years ago. It is ABGA government that brought security through Willie Obiano, and the state became safe. Our people are aware of this. Any campaign using insecurity against ABGA will fall flat because our people know that it was ABGA that.
Okay, so if I understand you, then what you're saying is that you're presenting to the people of Anambra the things that you have already done, and based on that, they should vote for your candidates. Is that what you're saying? Or are you promising them anything new?
To show them, yes, we've done that. We have a candidate. You saw our candidate in the debate, Professor Kuma Soludo. He's easily the best of the candidates in this election. Our people have their trust and hope and confidence in him. So this idea of saying you have failed is just a conjecture. It's a fantasy. It's an imagination. So our people can count to all the things that ABGA government has done for them in the area of infrastructure, in education, in agriculture, in healthy workforce, payment of salaries without fail, without owing anybody. What we have done in the health sector. These are the foundations to making promises. These are things we have done for you. And they are clear in their minds that we have done these things,
Okay, let me ask Chief Ralph also about his own party's plans. I do not know how on the ground you are in Anambra State. Nonetheless, if you do get elected into office, what is your party promising the people of Anambra that it will do for them? What is it going to do differently from what ABGA has done?
Fine. Now, the process of detoxification will begin. We are working with the youth. We've signed a social contract with the youth. We've signed a social contract with the Umunnas. The family blocks in Anambra State. And the social contract with the youth is one, employment. A lot of Anambra State young men, they graduate, they don't have any job. We are working with the industrialists. We are working with the business people to create employment. and the youth are trusting our program on that. We are going to
What
deal
are you
with
going to be
security.
doing differently when you say you're working with them to create employment? The industrialists are already in business because they're creating employment, and so are a number of other business people. What is your party going to be infusing, which you think is going to, you know, create even more opportunities?
Yeah, the industrialists are bothered because of the security issues. We are not, the government at the moment are not dealing with the issues that concern the young persons. And that's why we have a serious, you know, the problems are happening. Create jobs. The markets in Onitsha, Oka, and Newi are almost dilapidated, and the government continue to go there on a daily basis to collect what they call internally generated revenue without dealing with reorganizing the market space. We are working with the traders there to design a modern market stores so that they can do their business in a more appropriate way. You know, a lot of traders in Anambra State working on Onitsha market. This market has been there, and before this time, it's been the biggest market in West Africa. But now it has shrunk. Meanwhile, the same government go there on daily basis to collect what they call internally generated revenue, and they don't plug this money back into the markets. The traders are complaining. They are working with us. We've designed social contract, which we are signing with the traders. We are signing with every family in Anambra State. We've signed with the youths, and these are social contracts that will bring results. And the moment we get the young people working, you know what will happen? Politicians will no longer have the available manpower that they will pay 10,000 or 100,000 to go and do their bids. Because every young man and woman in Anambra State, by between 5 and 8, they will prepare to go to work. They go to work, they come back by 5. They don't have time for all these, their 5,000 and 10,000 and 50,000. We want to stop that.
Well, at the end of the day, it comes back to the people. There's a question that Malkwe just posed to Chief Nwosu, and I think it's a very good one. But I'll put it differently for you, Senator Ume. In terms of economic prowess, how viable would you say Anambra State is as a sovereign on its own, as a subnational on its own? And what are the inhibitions that you see to the viability of the state?
If you go by the statistics published by the National Bureau of Statistics, you will see that all the measures, all the indices you use to measure growth in an economy, Anambra State has done well, very well. Our government has passed through 2 recessions without going below the line. Anambra State is one of the only few states that can say this, going through 2 recessions without going under. We've not been running around looking for support. We didn't take the Paris Club bailout funds and all those things. The economic activities have resurged in Anambra State since Governor Obiano restored security. Even my brother who is talking knew that he knows that there was a time they were not coming home. But with the security architecture which Governor Obiano put in place, our people started coming back home. This main market he was talking about, it doesn't have the facts. Obiano, we have 63 markets in Anambra State. And part of Obiano's comprehensive programs was giving money to each and every one of these markets to develop their infrastructure. There was a time they assessed 630 million naira in one swoop to help them make these markets conducive for business. And the traders are very happy with the government. So you see, when they stay outside the state, they throw all kinds of things. The youth is talking about, we have the highest number of youths in our government. But much more importantly, our candidate in this election, who has put together a very good proactive manifesto and agenda, has promised creation of jobs through making Anambra State a manufacturing hub that will create jobs for our youths. He promised creation of 130,000 jobs for our youths every year. This is a pragmatic plan. And saying that we'll do this, difficulty has nothing to campaign on. You know, we are campaigning on our established record. We have built an international airport for the people of Anambra State. It was commissioned last Saturday, world-class standard airport. We have built 17 bridges linking even the oil fields in Anambra State, hitherto inaccessible. And Anambra State has been upgraded now and recognized as an oil-producing state. These are the things our government has done to shore up the revenue base and economic prosperity of these states. We have built a lot of roads. We have ensured that our workers and other people in the states do their business without molestation. Our banks are now active.
Given all the conversations that you have raised, all the things that you have raised concerning IGR from the state's markets, Chief Nwosu.
Yes.
How do you intend to make money, generate revenue for development as a party in government?
You mean like talking to me on Nwosu?
No, Chief Nwosu.
Okay.
I want to explain something to you. Professor Soludo has been one of the advisors to the incumbent governor for the last 7 years, and you see where we are. Having said that, one of the programs of ADC is that we are going to that's any Anambra child from the age of 5 years will start making a compulsory a contribution of 500 naira every day, not contribution, savings, special fund savings within the state, 500 naira. Any Anambra a person will start making that a contribution. And if you take it that 2 million people will do that for every month, it will become 1 billion every month, and the state government will match it. We'll have 2 billion savings, out of which any entrepreneur can borrow from. By the time we have about, it's well worked out. That's why our social contract is working, because you save 500 naira and you can access any amount for any entrepreneurial project. Within the first 6 months in office of Akachukwu Nwankwo, that's why the youth are going. Within the first 6 months, the job creation and entrepreneurship will go beyond whatever it has happened, however way it has happened before. I wish you come to our sales clinic with all these young people. We adopted a particular strategy that will appeal to the families, because we are everything about government is how do you relate with the family. Forget the very bogus postulation of these people. Soludo is not new in Anambra State. Soludo has been, that's why what happened in Apuga happened, because Soludo has been working with this government. And a government is not about even one person. You know, any leadership is not about one person. However, the social contract they are signing, we are including our young people, and they are seeing it clearly. How can we raise 1 trillion naira within 4 years? It's all clearly spelled out. I am not an economist. But I have seen it, and it's simple. Simple contribution, a simple banking. Simple banking. Training our people on the banking culture. 500 naira, you have 5,000 you can put, but minimum 500 naira. And within 4 months, within 4 years, you will see almost 1 trillion naira in that account. And that trillion, Anambra people, you know you have it. The interest is very, very small, less than 9% interest. That's where you see the people who are concerned about
how that works. It'll be interesting to see how that works and what the Central Bank of Nigeria will make of it, because you know that for you to operate anything of that nature, you will need to seek permission from the regulators. But let me ask Chief Ume this particular one as to the economic prowess which my colleague referred to earlier. Now, people will say that Anambra does indeed have the potential to be one of the most viable states in the country. It's not doing badly, but there are questions as to whether or not it's really living up to its potential. When you look at the states that generate the biggest IGR in Nigeria, let's say the 5 or 6 biggest states, Anambra isn't one of them. Is there a reason for that?
Well, Mark, don't forget from where Abga took this state from. It's been a building process. When we came in here, our IGR was about 10 billion naira per annum. We have, through very good methods of generating this IGR, including blocking areas of leakages, we've grown the IGR to 28 billion annually now. So it's a conscious effort by a responsible government to do this. And in terms of economic prosperity you're talking about, we have put in place a plan and sustained that plan that has worked. Let me also quickly say that Soludo is not advisor to Governor Willie Obiano. Yes, he's a member of our party. Governor Obiano just made him chairman of Anambra State Vision 2070 Committee, looking ahead. Where will Anambra State be in 2070? To be able to tap from his knowledge, he's been chairman in this committee because of his global experience. And along the line, the governor and our party felt that we should put him forward to serve Anambra State so that we can harness these potentials, maximally by having the right person on the job. So it's going on. In the education sector, which he talked about doing a few things, Anambra State has been winning awards. If you get their figures from the Federal Ministry of Education, our teachers have been coming tops in all evaluations across the country, even the one done this year. Our students have been winning global competitions. From Onisha here, won Regina Apache's college. Our girls went on technovation competition globally and came first. We've been doing well because we have rehabilitated our educational infrastructure.
I don't know if you're responding to something that Chief Nwosu raised. I didn't mention education, but I'm not going to take that away from Anambra State in terms of the prowess that they have exhibited, especially internationally. And indeed, students from Anambra State have done not just Anambra proud, but also Nigeria. The focus is why it would seem that Anambra is not. I mean, when you talk about 10 billion to 26 billion, some people would say that Anambra can do way better than that. What have been the strings hampering its progress in showing the way in industrialization? Because the people of Anambra are in almost every state of this federation, and they're doing amazingly well. So what exactly is hampering Anambra from being at the forefront? Yes, Lagos has some natural advantages, but so does Anambra. I mean, there is the River Niger right there. What exactly is holding it back from achieving the success which it's capable of achieving?
Yes, thank you. Growth and development is a gradual process. It's something that you can sustain through proper planning and execution. That's why we have brought somebody who articulated a manifesto and agenda. Everybody adjudged his manifesto and agenda as being the best. He's talked about gas, making use of the good gas deposits to power, to generate power, electricity. which will go around Anambra State, and then building industrial parks that will have this power, this energy that will be needed for manufacturing. This is looking into the future. When you are able to create such a base and you have a huge number of manufacturers in the states, everything will come with its multiplier effects, employment boom in all sectors. So this is the methodical movement Abia government has been doing in Anambra State. You know, some people don't have plans, and they want us to believe that if you put them there, you walk. The International Passenger and Cargo Airport, which we have delivered, will be a major support to this market they are talking about, this Onishamen market. Our people go to Abuja, go to Lagos, go to Port Harcourt to be able to fly to China.
All right, Senator, we need to wind down now and wrap it up. So if both of you could just respond to this as quickly as possible, if you can do that in 20 seconds, that will be fine. INEC say they will be deploying BVAS, the Biometric Voter Accreditation System. And so this is part of the measures they plan to deploy to eradicate any untoward, any malpractice. So Mr. Omo wants to tell us, are you satisfied or confident that this system can achieve considerably good results?
Most systems can, if the operator, because any machine is worked by people. If INEC is determined to have a free and fair, credible election, they can achieve that with even the old system that they've been using. But I want to believe that this is a more improved one, and we are all for it. But the young people are very ready to make sure that we have free and fair election.
So, Senator, are you confident with this system?
Well, INEC is empowered to decide how to conduct the election. We give that to them. But I would say that the test of the pudding is in the eating. This BVAS they're talking about, we've not used it in Anambra State before. It's this Saturday that will be used for the first time. And we are only expecting that all will go well. I cannot assess a device or a method that has not been tried. So we were hopeful that in good conscience and practice, that INEC has brought out something that will help, like they have assured, that this system of accreditation and voting will help to improve the electoral process. We'll give them the chance to do so. Yeah, so no problem with that.
All right, so gentlemen, Senator Victor Ome, former national chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, as well as Ralph Mons, who is the national chairman of ADC. Thank you both, and we wish you all the best. We'll be back in a moment. Well, yes, the governor of Lagos State was at the scene yesterday where he announced that 6 persons were rescued from that rubble, and then, 3 others also involved in some of those matters. But unfortunately, the body count has risen to 21. Several other measures were announced, which we'll just take a look at some of them as we progress now. So we've got Mr. George Akinola, who is the president, Building Collapse Prevention Guild. He's also a fellow of Nigeria Institute of Architects. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Morning, Chimberley.
Well, building prevention collapse. You are not able to prevent this one.
Well, it's an advocacy series. We've been on this for a long time, actually since 2011, advocating on a review of the system. Because what has been a systemic failure for over 100 years, you can't correct it in 10 years. So we've been advocating for a lot of changes, a lot of change of mindsets, change of laws, change of building procurement processes and all the rest. And part of our advocacy is what gave birth to the Building Control Department of the Lagos State government.
So is that to say that professionals in that building industry do not adhere to even their own ethics? in building?
There are a plethora of problems, not only with the professionals, because actually the statistics have shown us that not more than 20% of the buildings that you see standing out there are designed by professionals.
Including the ones that are above 5 floors?
Whichever. For example, if you go to that site of the building that collapsed, if you go to the site, you can't see any, you can't see on the board, because the law says you must put a board there, you know, that shows the professionals involved in the building, in the construction going on. Nothing shows the architect, nothing shows the structural engineer, and all the other professionals that are involved, the quantity surveyor. Nothing, there's nothing about them. They just gave some acronyms, FMA, whatever, and then a phone number.
Yeah, because
That's not the professional way to do it.
so what did your guild do about this?
My guild is made, for example, there are 7 professional bodies in the institute. These professional bodies are representing architecture, town planning, and so on and so forth. My guild is a combination of all these professionals, you know, together in a guild. We are not an institute. But what we have been doing, we operate in every cell. It's a private organization, it's an NGO. We operate in every cell, and we keep reporting to government. We don't have coercive powers.
Did you report this case?
We didn't see this case because government officials were there.
You didn't see this case?
How would we
This-
know?
no, in terms of
excuse me, let me.
the board you spoke about. You didn't see the board?
No, the board was reported. Such things are reported on a daily basis on our platforms. We keep sending to supervising agencies. We send to building control. We send to ministry.
So can we say that your guild sent as much information to relevant authorities about some of the concerns and defects which you noticed about this collapsed building?
This particular one?
This particular one?
No. Don't let's be, that's far-fetched. Why? Because in Lagos State, there are over 10,000 buildings, more or less, over 10,000 buildings going on. We are in the 57 cells in the state and in other states. What we do is what we observe, whether we observe defects and errors, we inform the government and its agencies. We will miss 1 or 2 that we don't know.
Did you miss this one?
Of course, we didn't see it. But the problem...
21 story.
Excuse me, please. Excuse me, please. We are not on trial. BCPG is not on trial at all.
No. It's not about anybody being on trial. We're just trying to find out that certain things are done
Chamberlain,
right.
let me explain
and
this.
As many people as can help should help.
Yes.
That's what we're about.
Which is what we're doing. But there were government agents on site before construction. They said they approved. I saw a document sent to me yesterday that the approval was for 15 floors, and the document is signed by the government official. So we don't have access to, or we didn't have access to that document to know that, okay, this building that you're seeing that is 21 floors was actually approved for 15.
Yeah, but the governor was there yesterday. He spoke about 21.
This is post the event. But the event itself, before it happened, how will you know that so building? Which is why, anyway, that we have already been telling the Lagos State government that they should involve us, the professionals, in 2 ways. Number 1, this cell supervision, checking, you know, and all this whistleblowing that we keep doing, that they should more or less make it an official thing. Involve the professionals, all of us. Yeah. We are in thousands in the state and all the other states of the Federation. Number 2, the building procurement process, whereby we are now putting up the building and the building control is going on. They should involve the professional architects, the engineers, and so on and so forth to do an oversight function.
Yeah, but Mr. Kenla,
on the process. Yeah.
Help me out here, because I mean, your guild, you're supposed to, you have professionals in the group who are supposed to, one way or the other, see these kind of things and point them out. And this is not a 5-story building. This is 21, even if it was approved for 15. So I thought that these are the kind of things that can never or should never miss the eye of any professional in that field, right from the board, which you pointed out. So it's a little surprising if you say, well, a body that has over 1,000 members in Lagos and across the country didn't see that one. And it's not the first building that company is constructing.
Let me break it down for you. Number 1, the signboard there it's very clear that there's a contravention, sort of. The signboard is not clear. We don't...
Not clear or very clear?
Not clear. You just see acronyms, and then you see the phone number. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have the name of the company, the address of the company, and the phone numbers of the contacts. Secondly, we don't have coercive powers, nor can we enter buildings.
Yeah, I understand that point,
right.
And we appreciate that.
So we cannot enter
point.
the premises.
Yes, we're not asking that, you enter any of the premises, because we know limitations and we have to be realistic in our society here. But when you mention that, when you look at that board, certain things are not right, that's an alarm bell all by itself.
Which we submitted, which we sent. We sent that across.
You did?
It was discussed on some of our platforms.
What about to the authorities, the government officials?
We keep sending across. We keep sending across information that we get. In fact, I can tell you that some of the government officials are on our platform. Because they're professionals too.
Okay, but two different things. So is that the way you make your formal concerns known to the state governments through your platform?
At intervals. We prepare reports and we send. We prepare recommendations and we send. We prepare process reviews and then we send, I was with the commissioner yesterday and we still talked about all this. Some of the things that he said he did not receive and all the rest. And some of the ones I told him that personally I submitted,
So after that conversation, do you think that there are certain things that need to change in the way maybe your group notifies them or the state officials about some of these concerns that you have seen?
Definitely there can be improvement. There should be improvements, in the way we relate with the government. But you see, it's not only, we are the last end of the chain.
Yeah, well, but you're a professional, so that's why people want to know.
The important thing here is that most of these processes come from systemic failure. We are all guilty. Apart from the fact that they are encroaching people who are not supposed to practice, people who call quacks, or people who are not registered and are not allowed to practice, and they are practicing. Apart from the fact that clients take up jobs that are not theirs. A client's job is just to provide funds. Leave the rest to the people that are trained to put a building up, which are the professionals. I said earlier, so once these things are done, and the laws, 500 laws, not the single enforcement here and there are being frustrated by big powers and all the rest. Like, for example, we know that building control officials went to that place quite a couple of times. They stopped work. But of course, the building woke up one day and they started constructing.
But don't you think that if professionals in groups like yours, for want of words, I'm saying, make a lot of noise about what you see going on wrong, perhaps some people may not, do things with impunity or with reckless abandon, thinking or dismissing whatever concerns professionals have with a wave of hand?
You're right. We've made a lot of noise.
No, but is it sufficient?
It isn't sufficient.
Because if you say he's just on the platform, that you inform people.
There were suggestions, earlier that professional bodies, this is like 3 years ago, that professional bodies should have an oversight function on projects. Not only sufficient, because government doesn't have enough manpower to monitor and man, the supervision that is required. Let us have these professionals on the institutes doing the oversight function on all these buildings with coercive powers of entry, that is, they are supported by legislation and all the rest, to enter into premises. That would help. That has been with the government for like 2-3 years now.
So does that suggest then that because the government didn't take it up, the professionals, with due respect, some of them, your group, just said, okay, let's just leave it on the platform, and that's it?
No, it's hurting us too, because it's hurting our livelihood. So we shouldn't do that, and we are not doing that. Don't forget, the people in the ministries too, the people that are approving in the ministries and supervising, they're professionals too. They're part of us. So people in the private sector and people in the public sector, we continue to collaborate to, improve on the process. The process of procurement is the error.
Okay, we'll still focus on that. My colleagues have got some questions for you. Ayo.
Chamberlain, one of the things that I really wanted to raise, he has begun to talk about, and I'd like you to, expatiate a little further on it, Mr. Keller, because, I mean, I don't know if it's safe to say it's the building and construction industry that is on trial here. And you have mentioned that a good number of people in the approval process, on the government side, they're also professionals. So when one sees these gaps, one wonders exactly where it's coming from. Are the gaps from the professional side or from the official side? Because the people who are on the official side are supposed to be professionals.
Okay, can I go on? Right.
Yes, please go ahead.
A systemic failure is a failure of all parties and the connecting dots between all those points on the process line. It could be the problem of how the client procured the approval, maybe through one way or the other underhand deals. It could be the problem of the approving officer that did not go through his documentations properly and made the wrong recommendation. It could be the problem of the person that prepared, that is the professional outside in the private sector that prepared the drawings and the designs. It could be a problem of materials on site and the way these materials, for example, some of these materials now are seriously compromised. You will know that a 12 mm iron rod is no more a 12 mm iron rod. It's more or less like 10.5. And the length has been shortened. This is the job of the standardization organizations, like Standards Organization of Nigeria, and so many other people in the industry. So it's a complete systemic failure. But you see, the only way we can get out of this, a 100-year problem, as I said earlier, is to continue to address the problems as they arise, before they arise. Sometimes, we have to...
how swiftly we're able to take on those issues is where the problem lies. I mean, the building and construction industry, expectedly, is a highly regulated sector. If it is as highly regulated sector as one would expect, like maybe the medical profession, one wonders why these things happen from time to time. What's important here to note, and which perhaps the professionals should give a little more attention to, is that the lives of people are always at stake. So if there are corner-cutting measures being put in place or being achieved and no one is saying anything, it is the industry that is being indicted. So why then should investors come into the country and work with professionals like you when the professionals themselves cannot hold their own as far as the industry is concerned?
You see, most of the collapses that we've had, we've not had an indictment of professionals. That is a very strange thing. As I told you, like no more up to 20% of the buildings being constructed were actually designed or procured properly by professionals. Secondly, these people that you are talking about, like the clients, for example, they take over the process, they provide the money, so they just ignore professionals, and it is up to the government officials to ensure that the process is followed, the correct professionals are on site. If the professionals are not invited, and they are not on site, and like, for example, this particular building, we know that after the 5th floor or so, the structural engineer removed his services and wrote officially to the client that... Did you independently verify that? Oh, I saw the letter. We saw it too, but we made inquiries
at the end.
No, it's actually happened. It actually happened. Because you see, we know these people. I know the client. I know the the structural engineer is known to the past president of BCPG, Builder Obodo. So we know ourselves. If after the 5th floor, the structural engineer says he cannot guarantee the integrity of that building, that's a red line.
Okay, well, this certainly has implications. First, there's talk around, checking the integrity of all the other buildings along that road and also around the Ikoyi area as a result of the impact of the crash of, that particular building on Gerrard Road. I want to ask you first, how possible is it for us to do a test of integrity on the other buildings, one, and then two, how do you think this is going to impact investor confidence? Because those buildings usually come up as a result of investors putting in their money, not just in erecting the buildings, but also to live there. You are a practitioner in the industry. What are the implications of this?
As per integrity tests, for integrity tests to be carried out, you need between 2 weeks and a month before the result can come out. So an integrity test of this nature on buildings above 5 floors is good, but buildings can come down even on 1 floor. Like, with 2-story, 1-story building, 2-story building, they can come down if they are not properly engineered. So I think this is a good starting point whereby, integrity tests are carried out. And later we'll now graduate to 4 floors, 3 floors, 2 floors, and so on and so forth, until we cover the whole gamut. But beyond all that is the fact that most of the people, the facilities are available for carrying out these integrity tests. There is only one official laboratory, material testing laboratory in Lagos, and 2 private ones belonging to Lagos State, University of Lagos and Yaba Tech. Now, do we have enough manpower, facilities, and all the rest to carry out even the governor's mandate on buildings above 5 floors? That's a heavy question. So maybe they have to increase on the capabilities of the material testing laboratories, or encourage private laboratories to come up and all the rest to be able to do this. But it's a step in the right direction.
What's your, because I imagine that all of this is not just to buoy investor confidence, but also to assure those who are already inhabiting some of those high rises that they are safe and everything is okay. But what's your thoughts on the impact of this on investments?
Of course, it's negative, definitely negative. But to bolster investor and the residents' confidence, I think not only the buildings that are under construction, those ones already fully constructed too, I think there should be random, if not total, integrity tests on them, so that at least the building you are living in is safe. I was on a project some time ago, and I just thought that I need to conduct an integrity test, and I went to procure one, So it gives you the confidence that you're on the right path, that this thing is being done properly, materials used are good and all the rest. So that's the thing, so we should encourage more integrity tests, even on buildings that are presently occupied. In that
Do you think that more of that might be needed now in the wake of this collapse, at least to assure people that what they're buying into or what they're living in, is safe for habitation?
True.
What are the wider impacts do you see coming up as a result of this collapse? We know that we've lost lives in this work. Different personal stories are beginning to emerge. There are workers who lost their lives, people who just came out to earn daily bread. There are those who provide services to those who work in those structures, who directly work in those structures. Do you think that there will be any major changes in terms of how site operations are carried out?
You see, the implications of this collapse are multifarious. For example, now, this is the tallest building to ever collapse in Nigeria. I think from our records, this is the tallest. And most of the buildings that are in this magnitude, that are these heights, in Nigeria, like the Independence Building, Cocoa House, United Building, and all the rest, you can't see this happening because those buildings were properly procured. Some 10 years ago, I went to conduct an investigation on Cocoa House, and I was amazed at the size and quality of the concrete slabs, floors, and the structural members. That's since 1965 till now, still standing solid. So the various sets of things that have to be done have to be properly compiled to make sure that we address every aspect, every part of this systemic failure.
I know we're out of time. Do you have any email contact that people, if they see any distress or think that something is going on wrong, how can they reach anyone? Reach your
bcpg2011@gmail.com.
So they send an email to that.
An email or numbers, numbers.
BCPG
2011.
BCPG
2011@gmail.com.
Okay, so let's wind down on this one. Now, that letter which you spoke about, many have seen it and they dismissed it. They just thought, look, a letter cannot surface after the whole building has collapsed. So is that the process of the professionals withdrawing his services when that kind of thing happens?
Well, the relationship of the professional is with the client that employed him. So the first step is to write the client that you are withdrawing your services. Second is to write and notify government officials that you are no more involved with this.
But that letter, he didn't indicate that.
Well, I don't know.
Notified government.
I don't know.
Because he was now asking the client to do some of those notifications as you saw in that particular letter.
Well, it's neither here nor there.
So is this letter, you said this letter is real?
That's
the letter I say you saw?
Yeah, I saw it. The person, the immediate past president of BCPG, happened to know that person. And he said he was not involved beyond the 5th floor. So if he was not involved beyond the 5th floor, it's a red line. But meanwhile, the government approval that we saw says up to 15 floors.
But that correspondent went to that address, and it was a different scenario exactly. It wasn't the same construction company that was there.
That's left for the police to conclude on. The police should commence an investigation, because if government is already saying they have set up a body to do the investigation, all those truths will come out. Whatever went wrong will come out. We were involved with the synagogue collapse. We prepared the investigative report running into 100 pages that the court used to indict the professionals that were involved. And these professionals were not construction professionals. A petroleum engineer was in charge of construction at... what was he doing there?
So are you optimistic that this time, this panel announced by the governor, the report will see the light of day, or we'll get to the bottom of this? Or people will be punished or face the law?
Well, I can't talk for government.
No, are you optimistic?
I want to believe that something positive will be done. This is too grievous.
But that means you're not optimistic. You want to believe, you're not optimistic.
I have seen enough to know that this is a change of thought. Because I saw the governor there yesterday. The governor was extremely sober. He was disturbed. The commissioners there were extremely upset and disturbed, not because of their profession, their work or their job, but they are disturbed because it's a serious indictment on the process.
All right, George Akinola is the president, Building Collapse Prevention Guild. He's an architect, and so he is a fellow of Nigeria Institute of Architects. Thank you for coming on this morning.
My pleasure.
Let's see some mails, if we can, before we go through Henry. And when we're talking about addressing building collapses, today it is building collapse. The truth is, almost every structure, sector, and system in the nation is collapsing. The bane is absence of due process and inspectorate activities of oversight agencies. The panacea is to diagnose challenges holistically using whole system approach and manage them from basic fundamentals until and unless some people and institutions are made scapegoats, the woes will continue to fester.
And Isioma Chigbolu, talking about Anambra elections, says, let the elections be free and fair and be seen to be credible for those who dare come out to vote in the face of intimidating police and military overwhelming presence. Our elections have to be seen as fair and credible to douse tensions, litigations, and invariably violence. A credible election with no intimidation from the security agents will go a long way to instill trust in the polity and strengthen our very fragile democracy.
Festus on road infrastructure says the deplorable condition of our highways, especially highways that are of strategic importance, shows no agency of government is carrying out regular highway safety inspections of the highways. Sadly, our highways will continue to be a death trap until government at all levels take highway safety inspections seriously. Well, I guess that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. I'm Ayo Makinde.
And I'm Aokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Yeah, don't forget, if you see something, say something. You never know whose lives you may be saving. I'm Chamberlain. Goodbye.